Any cards?
But it's red. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Homer Hardage. I am the chair of the CRC. Sitting to my left is our vice chair, Mr. Lee Schauer. I will officially call the CRC meeting of September 18th, 2023 to order. We'll start with the roll call by our clerk.
Okay. Member Addison Prophet. Here. Member Arias.
Here.
Member Baga.
Here.
Member Batchelor. Member Callan.
Here.
Member Shira.
Here.
Member Grimer. Member Hardage.
Here.
Member Jackson.
Here.
Member O'Neill.
Here.
Member De La Portilla.
Here.
Member Riley.
Here.
Member Staccato.
Here.
Member Weinsberg.
Here.
Member Wynn. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I understand that traffic is really a little difficult getting this direction, so I believe that there are several CRC members that are en route. So we'll acknowledge them once they arrive and update our count as necessary. We open our meeting up with chairman and vice chairman comments. I generally have brief comments, and Mr. Schauer generally pass, but we both have an opportunity to make brief comments to the board generally. I don't have any major comments today except for two. One, I've asked staff to put us in a position to have possibly two press conferences during this board. One of them will be at our very next meeting, which at the county chambers, where I'll ask committee chairs to be there. and to discuss briefly what their committees are doing. I will make some brief comments concerning the direction of the board, and then I suspect that we'll have one final presser, which will be once we have the public and board members that are interested in the addresses and phone numbers of members. I think that's a great idea. However, in retirement, I am a professional guardian, and as such, my personal residence are protected by the state law, the same as firefighters and police officers. So I would ask you to respect that. And if any of you have my personal address, if you see me afterwards, I'll make sure you have my office address and P.O. box, and of course my business numbers. I always want to be accessible, but I want to make sure that I keep myself and my family safe. Any comments from Vice Chair Chira?
Nope.
I love that. Okay, thank you. This is a special meeting. We are being hosted by Commissioner for District Number 2. That's Commissioner Moore. She's sitting in the back. She will give us brief comments. We generally allow 10 minutes for our guest speakers. If you need more time, if you'll let me know before you start, that'll be great. But you can take whatever time you need, up to 10 minutes. Thank you. Commissioner Moore? Yes, I'm sorry. They've corrected me. I didn't acknowledge the flag. The Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah. Oh. Okay, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I think in addition to that, I'll ask staff if they would recognize any other commissioners that may be present.
Yeah.
Jennifer?
City Commissioners, you met you. We have 3.
Yes, Chair. We have Commission,
She's going to introduce them. Commissioner says she will introduce them.
Oh, well, go ahead.
I have Ocoee Commissioner, District 1, Scott Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
I have Commissioner Diane Velasquez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Patricia Rumpf. No? Okay. Those are the ones
No,
that
Commissioner Nick Nesta.
Oh.
Nesta in the back.
In the back. Yeah. Thank you. Commissioner Moore?
Yes, it's nice to be in a county commission district that has cities, because so many times it's a partnership to have effective government. And also, you're in Wekiva High School, which is the site where I hold quarterly leaders meetings for my HOA presidents and folks who are really interested in government. And we've learned over the last few years that for county government to work best, it has to be a partnership. And so I thought it was fitting that we would invite you to this room. Now, I have to say, at our meetings, we have more people than even this. They've been very successful. We've gone anywhere from 75 to about 170 people that would show up from all over District 2, from up towards the Lake County line, all the way south of Silver Star Road, and now we have all of Ocoee. And so it's been a wonderful opportunity to serve the people in District 2. So I want to thank you all for being here. I think your goal is to find the form that works best for the people, and I think we would all agree that that is really the purpose of charter review. And that was probably one of my first opportunities to learn a little bit about a government, and I served on charter review back in 2007 with Angel de la Portilla, and we were the appointees for Commissioner Fred Brummer. And so it was at that time I decided to run for the Orange County School Board, and he was over there encouraging me and helping me to get elected to the school board. And so I think it's also fitting that you're here at a public school, because really we have learned that the strength of our county is in our neighborhoods and in our schools, and it's the partnership from all these things that make us better. So the one issue that I wanted to talk to you about, I think you have some great ideas how to make this county stronger. The one that is near and dear to my heart, and I will tell you why, is looking at extending those term limits to 3 terms. Now, I am definitely for term limits, but I got to tell you, in county government, I could work 26 hours a day, and I just couldn't get everything over the finish line in 8 years. And I'm going to give you a good example from former Commissioner Victoria Siplin, who was an excellent commissioner, and she started off in 2015 with the invest money and decided she wanted to build a multicultural center in Pine Hills. And so she was term limited out. We had to have some sort of a celebration, and we had to celebrate a building without walls. And so thankfully her successor is a very generous man, and he's inviting her to the true dedication, which I think is next week. Maybe it's a week from today, actually. And so there's a case where she worked diligently for the entire 8 years and could not get a multicultural center over the finish line in that amount of time. Roads, let's talk about that. That is probably one of transportation things that I really, really enjoy at the county. And I'm serving on the CFX board, and I'm on Metro Plan. There isn't a road around that gets done in 8 years. And so our districts are very, very broad. They're diverse. I live in unincorporated Apopka. I live in the center of the seat. But imagine if the work that I've put into Edgewater Drive, and I don't know if I have any folks here from Lockhart tonight, I've been working on that for 4 years. And how far I've gotten is the Public Works Department has said, okay, Commissioner, we'll go back and restudy this road so you can have your downtown Lockhart. And let me tell you, you have to study. Then you have to do engineering, design, and acquire your right-of-way. And then you have to go find your money for construction. None of this happens in 8 years. It's just not going to happen. So that would be another reason. Let me talk to you about Clare-Conacoa, which is one of my biggest, most important east-west routes through the district. We started about a year ago looking at safety measures. They call them countermeasures. And we've got the Orange County Public Works staff giving us all the details of that. I have to say, right now my North Pine Hills people are going to get after me. I'm not making it. I need more time with that staff to get all these measures in place. And in fact, I'm going to be looking at a special appropriation through the legislature to see if I can jump start some of that process, because they can only handle so much so long. So I just want you to think about it. If the commissioner is not up to the citizen standard, vote them out. If you'd like to keep them, vote them back in. And so I just think that the 12 years honors the spirit of term limits, but also gives you a chance for some continuity between commissioners. And the final thing I'll tell you, when I went into the office, you have to have a little bit of orientation, but I walked in and I didn't know where anything was. Everything was falling apart, and I had to redo all the files. And Kathy Marsh, I'm glad she's still with me. She's the most senior member on the 5th floor now. It took us months to figure out who to call about this, who to call about that. And when we go to these offices and we put ourselves out on the street, we want to get things done. I have a list. I keep my lists. But how can I do that until I know which person to call and the staff in which department? So, and it's hard to say this publicly, but it takes you at least a year or two to really get to that place where you can move your constituents' projects along. And so I want you just to consider that. Now, it probably is a dirty word to say we want to extend terms, but hopefully if you get ballot language and you move it ahead, we like term limits. We just want it to be a little longer so we can allow some of our elected officials to get their projects over the finish line. And if you have any questions for me, I guess I have a few minutes left. I'm happy to address any of the other issues they have if you want my thoughts on them.
Thank you. Any board members have any questions for the commissioner? Member O'Neill. I see.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Commissioner Moore, I appreciate your comments regarding term limits, and we are on Member De La Portilla's committee studying that. whether to propose to the county that we extend them from 2 years to 3 years. I mean, 2 terms to 3 terms. One particular example that I know well is the conversion of septic tanks to sewers in the Wekiva district that you and I have both discussed. That was an issue that was started prior to your entrance onto the county commission, and the prior commissioner, who shall remain nameless, was unable to get that done.
He canceled it.
And then you came in, revived it, breathed life back into it, and now it's being done. So in some cases, it is to an advantage to have a changing of the guard rather than leave someone in office that has a particular point of view for 12 years. Would you agree to that?
Sure, but if they weren't doing the job, you could have you can vote them out. And so I'm glad you brought that issue up because I should have said something about it. We have successfully, with septic to sewer conversions, raised enough funding to finish the whole Wekiva Springs area. But I'll be term limited out, and I can't keep working on it for my Lockhart and my Pine Hills people. And so it does take a skill set to do some of these things. So yes, that's another one I'd like the opportunity to finish.
Just a quick question about the septic tanks. We're trying to fix these all over in this district. Meanwhile, over in District 5, we're still getting more of them. Do you see anything that we could do as a charter to try to say, only in extreme cases should you be allowed to use septics? Because eventually we're going to have the same problem over there that we have here. We know it.
Well, I can tell you I had an hour briefing today from Orange County Utilities, and we'll be having a workshop addressing that. I encourage you to come. And so they are recommending some policy changes that I think you would agree with.
Thank you, Commissioner. We appreciate that very much. Any other comments? Mr. Lapartello.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Commissioner, in addition to the extending the term limits, our committee is looking at several other issues. One of them is expansion of the county commission. We're currently at 6 districts. We're looking at 7 or 8, right? And you were on the school board before, and the school board has had 7 districts since maybe early 2000s or so. Orange County has had 6 districts since the charter was, since the second year of the charter in 1988. And at that time, the population of Orange County was about 500,000 people. Currently, our population is about 1.5, and our projections, based on data that we've received from the University of Florida, is showing that the population of Orange County by 2030 will be at 1.9 million. Do you support expansion of the county commission, either by 1 or by 2 seats, and if so, when?
Well, let's see. Let's talk about that. We have had some challenges with the size of our seats. So the first change that the board made was they allowed us to have a 3rd person in our office, and we're all very happy about that because of the number of calls and issues you get. We had a man show up today who was really in a lot of trauma and needed an hour of my staff time, and boy, was I glad I had that 3rd person. So they also, you probably all saw in the paper, because everybody at church told me they wanted to be my boyfriend now because my salary was raised.
Oh, okay.
That was the funniest thing. So I think that helped, so that, because really we dedicate more than 40 hours a week to doing this job for everybody. I think down the road we might need, Mr. De La Portilla, we might, as the county grows, because there's just so many people with so many great needs. And I don't know if you looked at how much of the particular seats are in incorporated versus unincorporated areas,
right.
Because certainly I have less to do in the incorporated areas than I have in the unincorporated. So that would be something to factor in. And if you have those figures, I'd love to see the comparison. I always think about poor District 1 with all of Horizon West. It's like every development issue that comes up in the afternoon, District 1, amount of work that she has to do.
Right.
Because of that, it is certainly greater than some of the seats are internal. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if you've grappled with our building
Right.
You have to hang us from the rooftop or something, these extra offices. I don't know where you would put the extra offices.
We are actually having a representative from the county come to our next meeting on September 27th, where we're going to ask questions about the building. Evidently, there was a plan back in 2018 under former Mayor Jacobs to look at building a brand new administration building, except the location was not the right location. It was going to be near the Public Works building. So I believe that the county is currently doing a feasibility study on how it will cost to refresh the dais, so to speak, and the chambers, and also look at creating new offices within the building. So we're looking at those.
Thank you.
Before we make any decisions.
Thank you, Commissioner. We appreciate your invitation. Thank you. I did note that we had 3 other commissioners from our cities. If each of you would like to make brief comments to the board, I would certainly encourage it. Commissioner, give us your name and your district and your city.
Good evening. My name is Nick Nesta. I'm City Commissioner for the City of Apopka. I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. This is really important, and our city alone is dealing with its own growth and trying to figure out our own issues as well that come into a growing municipality. So I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I'm excited to learn and kind of see what your processes are as you guys navigate this, as it's dynamic and it's very important to represent that of the people and who we represent. So thank you for what you guys are doing. It's a lot of time spent, and I think it's going to be very valuable for Orange County and for other local, smaller municipalities like ourselves in Apopka to kind of understand that process, because I think we're going to be starting this one here soon ourselves. So thank you.
Commissioner?
Good evening. I am Commissioner Diane Velasquez, and I just want to say that I have been working with Christine Moore since she was back in the school board, so that's how far back I've been working with her. And I have to say that as a commissioner for the city of Apopka, and to have this great relationship that I have with her, she helps me to kind of be a better representative for the city of Apopka. And again, I just want to welcome each and every one of you here. I think this is a great process to review the charter to see how we can better serve our constituents. And, this is my first coming to this city charter. I did sit on the last one for the city of Apopka when I wasn't the commissioner, and there was only one change. And like Commissioner Nesta said, we're also growing, and we're also being challenged by our constituents, requesting so much more from us. So upgrading having our city charter review would provide input from our commissioner, from our constituents, so that we can better serve them. So I thank you, and I'm glad to be here to kind of listen to the process here. Would help me and help us to move along for our own city charter. So thank you, and welcome to the city of Apopka on behalf of all the commissioners and the mayor of city of Apopka, which is Mayor Brian Nelson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My name is Scott Kennedy. I'm here tonight as a City of Ocoee Commissioner, but mainly as a lifelong Orange County resident. I'm newly elected. I've been in office about 5 or 6 months. And thank you for your comment about the traffic, because that is the #1 issue. And as my wife and I knocked on hundreds of doors and spoke to voters and residents, they don't understand the issues, and they're very frustrated. Not only Clarkona-Ocoee, but Ocoee-Apopka Road, which is the main access point for the 429 business area and the 50 West area, serving South Apopka and North Ocoee residents, is a county road. And our cities, the municipality's growth has far surpassed the county infrastructure. As you mentioned, we play roulette. We don't know how we're going to get to work on time, how we're going to pick up kids from school on time. It's very difficult to plan your day. As I spoke to voters, and one of the issues that I brought up was the transportation tax, and did they support it? And most voters said they didn't support that because they didn't see the relevance of Sunrail and links to the suburban voters that are driving their own car. And so I know that the CRC, thank you for what you're doing. We're also doing a city charter review in Ocoee. It's very important. Thank you for your service. But as you're forming committees, I know you're looking at affordable housing and the rural settlements. I came tonight specifically to ask if you could form a committee to look at transportation specifically and how the county relates to the municipalities in funding for future road projects. Because as Commissioner Moore mentioned, and the chair mentioned, and the other commissioners have mentioned, it's the primary issue we're dealing with in Northwest Orange County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just on behalf of our board, I want to let you know how appreciative we are for you all coming out. On this Charter Review Committee, we're really fortunate. We have two former elected officials on the board. Member Shower has been a county commissioner, and I've served as a county commissioner as well in Orange County. So we understand the type thing that you all are dealing with, and we understand the great effort that is taken to become elected and become part of the select group of Americans that get to vote on policy on a daily basis. So we appreciate that. Thank you all very much. We'll now open the floor up for public comments. Commissioner, your list for public comments. If you'd like to speak again, you're welcome. Okay, thank you. We'll have staff from the clerk's office call those who have asked to speak.
Thank you. The next speaker that I have is Patricia Rumpf. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to District 2. I live in District 2. And I want to say thank you for all the work that you have done on this charter review. I haven't been to many of the meetings, but I watch the replay and know what's going on. So I have a question for my clarification and understanding. The last time y'all was talking, the last charter review that I saw, there's a discussion about the county mayor that is appointed by the mayor, Orange County attorney, excuse me, that's appointed by the mayor. So the discussion centered around the charter review in 1986. It was the county attorney was appointed by the Board of County Commissioner. Then in 1988, it changed to be appointed by the mayor. So, but as I remember, I'm a native Orlandian. So back during that time, we only had city mayors. We didn't have county mayors. I think our first county mayor was with Linda Chapin back in 1991. So I'm trying to understand how this charter review tie in to the Orange County charter review when we did not have mayors back in 1986 and 1988. I'm learning, so you, the teacher, help the student understand what was talked about. Am I getting my information correctly?
Thank you. We generally don't have response back to each speaker, but I'm sure the members have taken those questions into context.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Next.
The next member is Sue Hennessy. Hennessy.
Sorry, I'm a little short. I'm just here today to ask that the members consider expanding the term limits for county commissioners. We really like our commissioner here in District 2. She's doing amazing things, and I don't want to see another commissioner come in and cancel them. I don't want to see him cancel the sewer projects. I don't want to see a canceling of all of the involvement of the committee groups. We've started a new committee in the Wekiva area called the People of Wekiva Springs, and we go out and we do cleanup projects. I want to see that continue, and Christine brought us that. If a commissioner isn't up to snuff, people can vote him out. I just think we need to have at least one extra term so that we can keep that going, so it becomes like endemic to our area before the commissioner retires. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did you give us your name and share that? Thank you. Next.
The next public comment is from Chris Messina.
Good evening. In October 21, the Orange County Mayor's Office, with the support of the Board of County Commissioners, mandated a COVID vaccine mandate. This mandate contravened Florida state policy and constitutional rights. As a result, hundreds of Orange County employees were harmed physically and financially, or both, and we owe it to them to make it right. So I'm asking the CRC to put on the ballot a mandate restitution fund. So the mandate restitution fund would take 0.5% of the county budget, put it in of 23-24, put it in a fund for restitution for those Orange County workers who are harmed by these misguided mandates. I believe that if you put it on the ballot, the voters will wholeheartedly support this. So thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to discussing with you. If you have any questions, there's a way to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any next speaker, please?
The next speaker is Guy Collado.
My name is Guy Collado. I reside at 327 Beloit Avenue in Winter Park. I'm a lifelong resident of Orange County, retired after 30 years in the Army Reserve, and I've been a 50-plus year community banker here in Orange County. I recently became aware of the Charter Review Commission and tonight's meeting. As a result, I've not had time to read committee minutes or Charter Review Commission minutes. But I'm here to speak on the public bank. My questions are, who issues the charter? Who capitalizes the bank? Who insures the deposits? And who absorbs the losses? I look forward to hearing the Public Banking Committee report this evening and to further studying this concept. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Next speaker, please.
There are no more speakers, Chair.
Thank you. We generally call speakers that have completed speaker cards prior to the meeting. However, if there are members of the public that would still like to speak who did not complete a speaker card, you're welcome to, and then you can complete a speaker card after you've had a chance to give us your comments. Are there any other comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll move on with our agenda. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. I'm sorry, the approval of our minutes from August the 21st of 2023. Is there a motion for approval? We have a motion by Board Member Nguyen and seconded by?
Before you do that, you should call for any changes. Is that correct?
No. We'll accept a motion and a second, and then if there's discussion, we'll have discussion. Is there a second on the? We have a second from Member Shower. Any discussions?
Yes. Chair.
Do we have Member O'Neill?
On page 4, it says Member O'Neill asked by show of hands those in attendance who live in District 5 who are in favor of creating a rural boundary on the east and west side of Orange County, and those opposed to creating a rural boundary. I would like to append that to say that 5 residents living in District 5 voted or held their hands up in favor, and 1 resident held his hand up in opposition.
Thank you. So noted by the clerk. Any other comments on the agenda, on the minutes? Seeing none, did the clerk have any questions about those comments? Seeing none, the minutes are so corrected. All in favor of the motion signify by aye. Aye. It's been moved and seconded and passed. The minutes are accepted. We have just a few items on the action agenda today, and there will be chairman reports. We're going to have brief reports from the chairmen of each of our committees. I'm going to start with let's see which one. The committee chair. The initiative committee. I'm trying to get through these notes. We'll have the initiative committee's chair report first. Please go ahead.
Yes, Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Member Wynn.
Thank you. As you're aware, we did not have a meeting. Oh, well, we always got these new things. As you're aware, we did not have a meeting in August because I was on vacation. We did not have a quorum. However, I'm going to bring you up to date on our meeting of July. It was a lengthy discussion on the amendments, the overview process, petition gathering, legal review panel for the 2016 election. We received a letter from Commissioner Bonilla, presented by her aide June 13, concerning 602 of the county charter and several of her other concerns. Example, when we decided to review each charter item individually, we started at 601A. I will not read all of them. It's so lengthy, it will make you boring to listen to all the things that we talked about. So I'm just going to briefly discuss it and ask the staff, should there anyone want to know what happened in our meeting that's not on our committee, to give them the minutes, please. 601A, we amended to repeal the Orange County Charter from 10% of electors to 5%. That was 601A. 601B, ordinance seeking a majority to enact and amend our charter amendment was from 7% to 3%. C, we will send that information to all because it was very long, very lengthy, and a lot of things were striked from it. Then we decided this month to go to 602D. Commissioner Bonilla's concerns were brought up by her appointees, Mr. Scotto and Mr. O'Neill. There were a vast number of changes in those issues. Now, our September meeting, September the 8th, and I decided to come and meet with everyone on my birthday.
That is true.
So, it appears with 601D, after reviewing the financial impact, it will change, the legal ramification will change, but we had a legal discussion with Attorney Vos, and the committee decided to not change 601E, but to include it with 602A. So I'm requesting our committee to go back at our next meeting and begin our charter, whatever we want to call it, because it's really everything is changing, period. And I think it's going to change Orange County proper should all these changes occur for the ballot. I'm not sure they will all go on the ballot, but our committee has voted on it, and I'm presenting it. So I'm going to ask that we start our next meeting on limitations and the referendum. And I will report that back to our full board next meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Wynn. Comments from the creation of a public bank committee. Mrs. Board Member Prophet, any comments?
Yes, it will be very brief. So we had our first meeting due to the overwhelming community request for us to start a committee on the public bank. Our first meeting was pretty much a brainstorming session because the committee members, this is not a concept that we're familiar with, and we were honored to have our chair join us at the meeting as well, and also the comptroller's treasurer manager, Sean Poland, and so we decided he is the most knowledgeable with the infrastructure of the banking for Orange County. We don't even know if this is something that Orange County can do. This is in the infancy stages, And so at our next meeting in October, hopefully, the date's not set, but I think it's going to be in October, Sean Poland, along with the staff from the CRC, is going to put together a report that answers those basic questions on how, what, when, where. Is this even something that we can do? And to the speaker, Guy Collado, I was trying to write fervently your questions. I appreciate them, so I'll probably, if you stay afterwards, I'm going to make sure that I write them down. So hopefully we can get those questions answered as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just as an update on our Sustainable Growth and Governmental Structure Committee, which is Member Grimer, if there's a brief comment you'd like to make, please.
Thank you, Chair. We actually have our next meeting coming up this week on Wednesday. It's the first time we're going to consider the issue of the rural boundaries, which was added to our committee scope in July or August. I'm not sure which one. So we will have a presentation from a member of the planning department in Orange County to give us kind of an idea of their so we currently have an urban service area that kind of delineates the kind of density and intensity of uses that are allowed in those kinds of areas. So we're going to hear a presentation kind of on that, give us the background on what we currently have, and then also kind of pick his brain a little bit on the concept of rural boundary and how it would affect the comprehensive plan currently, and also Vision 2050, which is the comprehensive plan update that was transmitted by the Board of County Commissioners and might be adopted later on this year. So, and then we're also going to be hearing presentation maybe hopefully next month from Seminole County about their rural boundary and their charter, and kind of pick their brain on how it's working for them. So,
thank you very much. I just want to add that their next meetings will be held on September the 20th and September the 27th, respectively. That's still correct?
We have just the 20th currently, which is Wednesday, which is 11 a.m. In the Orange County Administration Building for anyone interested in attending. We're on the 4th floor there. So that is only currently scheduled meeting that I'm aware of, looking at the CRC staff. Okay.
27th is a governmental structure. That's Mr. De La Portela. Would you like to give a brief report?
We did not meet on August 30th because of Hurricane Idalia, so we will be meeting on September 27th at 11 a.m. and also on October 4th at 1:30. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're tackling 5 issues: expansion of the county commission, term limits, separation of powers, the county attorney, and then also the frequency of the county commission meetings. So we're going to have a report from Ann Kulikowski, I believe that's her name. She works in fiscal services, and we're going to ask her questions on the building and any cost to renovate or expand the chambers and so forth. So,
thank you.
And one more thing, Mr. Chairman, we've also invited, at the request of Member Dick Batchelor, we've invited former Mayor Linda Chapin, as well as former County Attorney and Charter Review Commission Attorney Tom Wilkes to come to our meetings, because we're really going to start getting into the meat of the original charter and some of the changes that have occurred since. So,
thank you. I just wanted to add, for the sake of the public and for this board, how much I appreciate these committee chairs. When you take on a task to rewrite something as large and as complex as the Orange County Charter, it really is a huge undertaking. It requires a lot of meetings. It requires public hearings at nearly every meeting. And also, they have to commit both their private and their professional time to making this happen. This month, I've committed to attend all of the meetings, and I think I've been to 2. And I just want to attend those meetings to let you know how much I appreciate what you're doing and how much easier you make the job for myself and Vice Chair Shower. We appreciate it, and the public appreciate it. So I just want to make sure you all understood that. Thank you. And the next thing, I've asked our board to allow me to have member comments at the end of each meeting, and during these comments we've generally limited them to 2 minutes per member, and once I tried not limiting it, that was a bad idea. So we're not going to do that. However, what we will do this meeting, because I know that several commissioners want to address questions that were raised during the public comment part. So if you would like to address any of those questions, I ask that you address them, but not as a back and forth with the speaker, but as a general explanation of comments that have been raised. And I will also ask that you keep that within the 2 minutes. If you need extra time, please so signify. Thank you. Any members that would like to speak? I see you, Member Nguyen.
Yes.
And Member O'Neill. Member DePatillo. Okay, let's start with Member Nguyen.
I just want to ask the
The clock is.
Oh,
just
what?
wanted to make sure we didn't take up your time.
Oh.
You're good.
I just want to ask the commissioner. She said that she would be for maybe increasing the number of commissioners. Are you speaking for what period? Is it the near future or 5 years from now? Maybe 10?
You know, I think it could be any time down the road. So I don't think it's necessarily needed today, but
Right.
as this population, we're projecting 700,000 more people. And so that would certainly be too much for 6 commissioners.
Yes, but we're saying 1.5 people in Orange County. We did not take of the other municipalities around. And as Mr. Shara mentioned before, the commissioners do not have those 1.5 million people. They have, it's kind of, as I understand it, 1, maybe 2 districts have more than the rest. But I don't know where you would put the people. We don't know what area in Orange County they will be seated. We don't know where they're going. We don't know where we're going to get the money to build a new building. Certainly, you don't have any parking where you are now, and it just doesn't seem feasible. And I just would like you to comment on that.
I think that's for this group.
Member Nguyen, if Ms. Commissioner, we'd love to hear your comments, but if we start going back and forth, we would probably be here a little bit later than all of you would like to be here.
Okay.
So we understand your comments on those, and we understand the position of Member Nguyen. Is that acceptable?
That's fine.
Thank you. Everybody, Member O'Neill, I'm sorry, Member DePatillo. I'll turn mine off.
Okay. No.
I'm off. Oh.
Hold you back.
Okay, I'm
Your
on.
name, you will be next.
To answer Mrs. Rum's questions, there was a memo that I requested our attorney Vos to do some research on the 1986 charter that had the county attorney as a hired by the full county commission, and then a 1988 ballot language and item that went to the voters. So there's a memo. If you can get with staff, I'm sure they can send you a copy of the memo. It's fully explained, and we're looking into the issue. So the other thing, based on Mr. Kennedy's comments, Mr. Chairman, could we look at one of our existing committees, or could we look at creating a new committee to look at transportation in Orange County? Specifically, what he mentioned is the relationship between the county and the municipalities. Transportation is one of the top, probably after housing is probably number 2, a close number 2. I don't know if there's anything that we as a charter can do, but there's. I'm willing to include that as scope in our committee. It's government structure, and it's. I know the county functions real well, how they function and all that. So I'm willing to take it up in my committee, or maybe Mr. Grimmer, if he's got any capacity in his committee, or we can just create a new committee. But I would encourage our charter to bring up transportation and see if there's anything that we can come up with.
My general thoughts on that is that we try to bring up things that we can include in the charter as general policy issue. So what would be the policy issue that we'd be trying to create on transportation, rather than just saying we need a committee to study?
We
how
have
to
to
fix transportation?
determine we would need direction from the attorney to see if there's any any if the charter has any jurisdiction over the county as far as transportation funding. If it's been done in other areas of Florida, those things. I mean, it's worth a look at, given that this is such a high-profile issue, both with building new roads and also in expanding our rail infrastructure and busing and things like that. So,
Okay, would it address your comments if we ask staff to look into this and give us some direction as it may reflect just on transportation, not just on transportation of roads, but on multimodal?
Absolutely.
And that way we can bring it back to a meeting and see whether we need a committee on it. Would that suffice?
Absolutely.
Staff? I see a thumbs up.
Chairman, yeah, we would be, between staff and my office, we'd be glad to take a look at that, do a little survey of the other charter counties within the state and look at what's been addressed and some parameters. I don't know that we can be exhaustive as to every single way you might interact with transportation, but we'll take a look at it and we'll get back with you.
Thanks. And for the sake of the public, what will happen is staff will look at the issue raised up by Member DiPatello and bring it back to our board at our next meeting, and we'll see if there's some reasonable direction we can take to address that issue. That's I'm going to go by the list. Mr. Callen, and then Mr. O'Neill, and then Member Shower.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for chairing this committee. You've done a wonderful job so far.
Thank you.
I do appreciate that. I just want to make a comment about Commissioner Moore's comments about the pay raise. I want to say something that I didn't know about until I got involved with some county commission issues, is that our commissioners look at 2,000 pages every 2 weeks. And then they go to other public meetings, so it's not a part-time job. It's a full-time job. These commissioners all are working 60 hours a week, and they're having to go to all these meetings, both in the county and outside the county. And if you look at the numbers across the state, they were vastly underpaid compared to other jurisdictions. So it's always a cheap and easy target to hit the commissioners when they do a pay raise. The pay raise is long overdue. Long overdue. So I commend them for taking the position of doing a pay raise. I mean, it's a budget of $6 billion. I mean, you want some commissioners who can devote the time to it. It's not a part-time job. So I want to commend the commissioners and what they did. Also, I think transportation could be something to look at. I know the Planning and Zoning Commission looks at transportation once or twice a year, and that happens. And so that's there. Term limits, I'm bound to record. I think term limits should be 4 terms. I think a threat of a 4th term will make the staff be nicer on the 3rd term.
He sounds like a commissioner.
But I've come to the conclusion, and other people have shared the same result, that the degradation of our transportation and degradation of our housing in this county the last 30 years actually mirrors term limits. And that's very troubling. Commissioners have complained to me throughout the years of not getting a road project done and then getting that road money shoveled somewhere else. And so, I think this is something that we're going to take seriously and look at. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Member O'Neill and then Member Shower.
First off, Mr. Chair, I'd like to thank everyone in the audience for attending tonight's meeting. We take note of your comments and your ideas. In many of the comments, many of the committees that have been formed have come forth from members of the community like yourself who stepped forward. One of the things that I'd like to cover is that we are not changing the charter here. We're here to propose changes to the charter. And as such, we're studying numerous very bold measures up here that will be on the ballot in 2024. So when you come forward with ideas, we're very receptive to them. When we hear ideas in committee, we're very receptive to them. But I just want to make sure everyone understands that what we're doing will be decided by you and not by us. And I hope that you will continue to stay involved in this process to its completion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Member Shower.
Just pierce this one. You're good. You're on. Okay. Thank you.
That's good. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. This is what government's all about, by the people, for the people. Our Constitution starts out with we the people. And when they were developing the Constitution, the big fight between the North and the South is should we use the word we or states. And of course, the objective was to put the power in the people's hands. So this is a system that we've got here where we have a charter study commission to look at the different things that the community wants to have done. But I think we ought to really restrict ourselves to policy decisions, not actual, individual things that the county commission is responsible for. And if we have a policy decision that the county needs to move forward with, then I think we should take it up. But I can tell you, and Commissioner Ardage will tell you, as a county commissioners, they take these up constantly. And there's, really very difficult answers to all these questions as far as transportation, rural settlement districts, and, major transportation systems. So I would recommend that we stick with not get too far away from getting staying on policy for the community rather than individual. We know, I've been here since 1970, and let me tell you, it's always been a traffic issue. I mean, Disney came and blew the place up, and thank God for Disney because they've provided a lot of activity and a lot of supplemental activity and tax base. We got a very low tax base for Orange County. And because we collect so much sales tax that goes to Tallahassee, and part of that, and gas tax, part of that comes back to this county. And of course, the ad valorem tax that we all pay, has been moderate relative to a lot of communities in this country. So I would recommend very strongly that we concentrate on policy decisions, like expanding the county commission. That's a policy decision. Or the limiting the mayor to 3 or 4 terms. City of Orlando has no limitation on the mayor, and he's been there now, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And of course, Apopka has the record, I think, for having a mayor. He's I don't know how many years he was a mayor, 30 years, 20, 30 years. How many? 61? Before I was born.
2 cents.
Anyhow, I wanted to thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you.
Just, I want you to know he spoke more than 2 minutes, but he is the vice chair, and he so give him a little bit of leeway on that.
Give his earlier comments.
That's right. Member Weinsberg and then Member Staccato, and then I think that would be it.
Yes, I want to tell you how a privilege and an honor it is that I was appointed to this commission. My history is communications in government and in other advertising agencies and those types of jobs. And so I thought I knew a lot about government after 30 years. But serving on this committee and serving on Mr. DePortillo's committee here with government structure, we are taking the deep dive. And we're really analyzing strong mayors and how really excellent they are for large communities and large counties. And we're analyzing the difference between the types of government and how they work fiscally and also physically by districts and otherwise. And it's fascinating. It's fun. I'm retired, so I have time to go to the meetings. But I added up recently just to figure out we're going to spend about 125 hours between these meetings and our committee meetings to come up with some ideas that may possibly be worth looking at to revise, add, tinker with, change, or otherwise do nothing to the charter that's been in existence since 1986. So it's not a quick decision that we make, and it's a group effort. And we have a lot of different philosophies on these 15 people that are sitting here, and a tremendous amount of intellectual integrity, because many of us have served in jobs for many years where we've worked in government. So I'm just so happy that District 2 came out and no one ranted and raved about how terrible government is, and nobody ripped us up about all the things we need to change that are not in the charter. We've had that. We go all over the county, and we've had some meetings where we've had 50 or 60 people and they've been upset. But obviously, thank you, Commissioner Moore and the commissioners from the two cities. We love District 2, and we've got our traffic problems and we have our other problems, but thank you all for attending today and bearing with us as we do this project.
Member Staccato, thank you.
I'd like to first thank the folks who came out and gave us great ideas, also the people at home. This is the lowest level of government we have. Direct democracy, this is the closest you're going to get to in our system. So if you have ideals, we take them, we go through the process. About the transportation, something to think about is, from a philosophy standpoint, could we look at, from a unified transit system, incorporating all the concept of transit, including using the power of the charter, which is the only place that we could do this, is actually incorporate the entire county, including the municipalities, within a structure, so we create a policy maybe of a transit system organization. Because right now we have two separate, Sunrail and Lynx, and they've yet to be combined, and we have this disjointed dance between the cities. So we might think about that.
Thank you. That was Member Grimer.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to comment briefly about the transportation issue. As the chair of the Sustainable Growth Committee, anyone who's talks to me then for more than a couple minutes knows I love to talk about two things. One is housing, and one is transportation. And our committee is the one, just for public edification, that is considering the incorporation of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund into the county charter. So I'd be very interested in hearing what staff and Mr. Vos come up with in terms of issues related to transportation that we could potentially put forth as a charter amendment. And also, just to kind of address a couple comments earlier, I think that we've seen recently, kind of nationwide, kind of the proliferation of like ballot initiatives and different things that the public have voted on in order to make changes, whether it be at the state level or local level. I think we're seeing some of that because the elected officials, maybe, and where those people live, have not been responsive to the needs of the community. And so I do think that we as a charter and as a charter committee should be considering things that we are hearing in community after community that we go into, that things that have not changed for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So obviously, what has happened prior to this has not been responsive to those needs. So I think we should be considering all issues, all legal avenues to address the issues and the needs of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a few closing comments as chair, and then if Mr. Shower has additional, he's welcome. My position as chair is I'm doing my very best to run an efficient board, to create our productive committees that deliver on the promises that we give the people as we set these committees up. I'm also keenly focused that we should be addressing our attention to policy issues and not administrative issues. So some of my objectives would be to, as we discuss these committees, would be how we refocus ourselves on broad policies as opposed to how a particular commissioner or a particular city does their business. So as we get closer to the point where we actually start to forming possible ballot initiatives, that's the direction you can expect me to try my best to lead this board. Now, having said that, for the public, 7 votes beat everything else. But those are my broad positions. Now, when I was a county commissioner, the rule was you have to be able to count to 4. 4 beats 3. And on this board, 7 beats everything else. It's like poker. The rules are the rules.
8.
But having said that, it's actually 8. Is it 8? Oh my God. And just as a little bit of levity, this is the first charter review committee to have bylaws. And I have everything in the bylaws that I wanted except one thing. I wanted a super vote to get things on the agenda. I was outvoted on that. So eight beats everything else. All right. Having said that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Chairman,
Mr. Our attorney, legal.
Before you adjourn, I just wanted to mention one thing really quickly.
Yes.
On the topic of transportation, heard a number of comments from members. I want to manage expectations a little bit, okay? What you will find through this process is what a county charter can do or can't do is not necessarily always constrained by the subject matter. We talked about this at the last meeting, tourist development tax. It's not necessarily the subject matter you're looking at, it's the mechanism. It's the particular thing you're trying to do. So I'm going to be looking at a general overview of other times a county charter tried to do things in transportation. That's not going to be exhaustive for any particular ideas that someone may have that I may find, yeah, that is something that can be done. So just to keep that in mind. And with the chair's permission, I was actually going to pick the city commissioner's brain very quickly, see if there were any particular thoughts he had to that end, and we'll consider that in my thinking.
Attorney Boss, I would respectfully ask that we do that offline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, not here, not now. Yes.
Thank you.
Can I ask one question?
We have member Nguyen and member Shower. And I have a motto also, is that everything has been said that needs to be said, but not by everybody. So that's the stage we're in now. Member Nguyen.
I just want to ask one question to Mr. Voss. Does the state and the federal government supply transportation funds? I know we have a penny or two, whatever, go to D.C. and it comes back. So can we, when you are looking at the transportation, will that be included to see where the state funds and the federal funds come to our area, how it can be utilized, if so?
There are whole books.
I'm sorry? What?
There are whole books that can be and have been written on federal and state transportation funding. So we're not going to be diving into all those particulars. So that county staff is exceedingly well versed in where all those dollars are tucked away. You're completely accurate that a great deal of transportation dollars come from innumerable different sources, and the use of those different sources of money could be a controlling factor in whether or not the charter could do anything about it.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last speaker will be Member Shower, but I'm going to just make one final comment, and this is to the board and actually to the public. 99.5% of what we've discussed from the public and from this board has been either tweaking or making some changes to statutes that are already on the books. There's only one new thing that's come before this board, and that's the issue of a public bank. So I would just ask the public and the board to give us some leadway to see if there is any inkling of possibility that might solve any problem with the county. We don't know the answer to that. So, but I do ask that you would give us a little bit of space. We have very smart people on this board. And if we just give us a little bit of space to evaluate that. But that is the only new thing that's come up in any of our meetings. And we're giving that the same credence that we give to everything else. So having said that, those are my final comments. I'll ask for comments from Vice Chair Shower, and I'll ask for a motion for adjournment.
Just short question for our attorney. To what degree does the charter encompass the cities?
As I think I mentioned before, that's a whole other book that I actually plan to write sometime in the next couple of years. As we've discussed, a county charter can actually exercise a lot of power over the municipalities within the charter, in particular with regard to overriding the regulatory authority of those municipalities. It gets a lot more dicey when you start working with services versus regulatory programs with municipalities. So the very general idea is, yes, there's a fair bit of power a county charter can exercise over municipalities, but that gets down into the particular character of the type of thing you're trying to override.
Policy?
It can override policy many times.
That's my understanding, but I never ever get a clear answer because it's kind of obfuscated in terms of power centers in the cities and the power centers in the county. And, that's a lot of times solved by consolidation of government. So that's not what, I perceive to be where we're here today to do, but I just wanted to know if there's policies that the cities have that are contrary to the county. Let's just say transportation, they decide to go a different route, and, and they're going to spend their money on transportation in juxtaposition to the county and not time together. So I'm just curious from just from an education point of view, what authorities does a Charter Study Commission have in the county? But the cities are all in the county, so it kind of begs the question: to what degree does the county have jurisdiction in the city in terms of changing their policies?
Thank you. I think for the sake of time, this is the third time I've announced that we were going to be ending. So we're going to have a member profit.
I was moving to adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn. It's been motioned and seconded by Chair Shira. Any discussion?
Chair, before we adjourn, I would like to remind the members and the audience of the next CRC meeting.
Yes.
The next CRC meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 16th at 6 p.m. in District 1, located at the Windermere High School.
Thank you. When is our next meeting at the Chambers?
We will be in Chambers in December. And December 14th.
Okay, I'm going to ask staff to put this board in a position to have a press conference at that meeting.
So for
And
the
it will
December-
just be before the meeting, maybe at 5 o'clock or 5:30, but we'll work the details out.
Will do.
Thank you. Any objections to that? I mean, as chair, I get to set that, but any objections to that?
Call a question.
Thank you. Call the questions. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor of adjournment, please signify by aye. We are so adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Wait, we don't.